are talking about Castlevania Season 4. A little bit out of date now, but it is what it is. We're here. Niles, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I really enjoyed Castlevania, so I'm excited to talk about this. As I am every time that we're talking about something, I'm always excited to talk about it because,
I hope so.
oh yeah, I mean, I love this podcast, and it's fun to just like sit around with a friend and talk about entertainment stuff. That's always just a fun thing to do. So,
I concur. And I think both of us watched... Did you rewatch it? Because I ended up rewatching the show last week because I hadn't seen it since it first came out, and I didn't remember a lot about it. I'm glad I did rewatch it, actually, because my opinion changed a lot. On first viewing, I was kind of not down for it. I didn't think the season was very good, but I like it a lot more now. And even though I'd still think it has problems, but did you rewatch it, or are you just going off of?
I didn't rewatch it. I just watched it the one time. I think every single season, I watched once, except for the first season. The first season I watched like twice or three times.
Yeah, we watched the first season together at one point.
Yeah, that's one of the best seasons, I'd say.
I think so.
Yeah, that and the second season. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I initially, like, I just thought this season was a lot of fucking about. And it seemed very disjointed to me. I guess I wasn't in the right headspace, though, because, I mean, there is a lot of just fucking around in it, but it fit better together for me this time around. And as always, we'll do very brief non-spoilers, and then we'll get into spoilers so we can talk about it for real. But this was the fourth and final season of Castlevania. The show is donezo after this, and it has a definitive ending, which makes me happy. I love when we get those. It's very rare that we get those. So
yeah, me too. I think this, every single season of this show was great. Like I said earlier, or mentioned a little bit, the second season is probably my favorite. I think that was one of the strongest seasons overall.
I think it's the peak of the show as well.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, this was still a phenomenal season, and I'm glad, same as Dylan, that it came to a definitive ending. But I am excited because I heard that there's a spin-off series scheduled for what is it? It's going to be their son in the French Revolution, something like that. Did you hear about that?
No. Well, I've heard the potential of a spin-off, but who's Trevor and Sypha's?
Yeah, so from my understanding, it's Trevor and Sypha's son. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's going to be a spin-off show about him, and I think it takes place during the French Revolution or something like that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if they want to keep continuing it, that's fine, but as long as it's a spin-off and it's like you separate it a little bit from Alucard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as you have that definitive thing. I think just quick general thoughts before we dive in. I like this season as an ending. I think it is the weakest season of the show still. But it's fun, and everything I liked about the earlier seasons I liked about this too. It's just that there's a lot of coincidence and a lot of just like, okay, what's going on? Well, what are we doing here?
I know.
Your vague thoughts on the season, like as an ending and as a season of TV, both.
Yeah, I think it's a great ending to the show, especially that final scene. I won't spoil it, but we can talk about it later. But the final scene I thought was really touching, and I think that was a perfect ending for the show. Yeah. That final episode I think was just beautiful. But yeah, I would agree that some parts of it were disjointed. The whole 6 weeks ago thing kind of threw me for a loop when I watched it. I was like, I don't really enjoy that, but as it kind of went along, I was fine with it. But some of the character choices were also quite interesting.
And we'll get more into that shortly. But
but overall, yes.
Ultimate question: best video game adaptation? Yes or no?
I didn't play the original Castlevania games. I didn't play any of them. So I don't know, but to me, yes, this is a great video game adaptation.
I have not played a Castlevania game. I probably should. But yeah, I think this is the best example of video games being adapted to film or TV that we have seen yet. that I've seen.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, miles ahead of like Assassin's Creed. That was kind
Assassin's
of
Creed is
garbage.
ass, man. It's a um. You want to jump into spoilers?
Let's do it.